This is the QB Huddle Podcast, hosted by Tim Smith and Brandon Newell.
Welcome back to the QB Huddle Podcast. I'm Tim Smith, and today Brandon needed to be in Oklahoma with his family. Our thoughts and prayers are with him. So we have a special guest host this week, Lauren Morales. We talk all things quarterback all season long, and Lauren, week 9 was exciting, of course, as it always is. But before we get too far into it, let's introduce who you are. So for those that don't know who Lauren is, he's the owner of the 8-man and sometimes 11-man team, Collin County Crash. He's partnered with New Era Media, where he films games, commentary, interviews coaches, peewee work events, whatever you need. Videoed New Era Media is there for you. He's also a store manager for Under Armour. He's been with Under Armour for quite some time now. He helped the Texas Revolution win their CIF championship in 2017. He currently plays for the Dallas Prime as one of 3 quarterbacks that play there. A very unique situation. He won the 2023 USA National Championship down in Florida. He was part of the 2023 TUFL Championship. Lauren, his next act will be with the Dallas Prime versus the Detroit Ravens coming up in 2024 Florida, the USA Bowl Championship. Lauren Morales, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Anything you want to add to that and tell the people who you are?
No, I think that was a mouthful. I mean, I like football. If you can't tell, I love football, and I work somewhere where it allows me to, be around football. So I still get to play football. I film football. I commentary on football. All this fun stuff. Yeah, man. Anything around football, I'm for it. So it's good to be here. Good to talk. Plus, quarterbacks, we talk differently when it comes to football. So
absolutely. We always wanted to have you come on the show as one of our special guests. And with Brandon having an emergency time out with the family, we thought of you to come on and give us some good quarterback commentary, something different to the show. It's nice to have a different scene other than just 49ers here on the QB Huddle podcast. So now we've got a Patriots fan. I thought you were a Cowboys fan, so this is news to me that you're a Patriots fan, but I love it. Because we're going to ask you some questions about your team right now, the Patriots. And so first question is, everybody wants to know, was it Bill or was it Tom?
Everyone asks this, man. I'm a fan, so I got to say both, but Tom gets the upper hand. He left and won one. So, he's got one more. So I'll leave it at that. But they did stuff together. Let's not get it wrong. You know what I mean?
Okay, but Bill struggled without Tom since Tom left. It's been a struggle bus up there in New England.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the longest stretch that we've gone without a hope. You know what I mean? Hope. We're past hope. We're on. We're on.
Hope.
Figure it out.
Okay.
We're on. Let's figure it out. So this is new for us, but hey, I think Bill's either in or out. He won't pull us or yank our chain or go there, and we'll rebuild. And I've heard other rumors. So head coach in Tennessee. He's got some ties to our organization.
That could be a good fit. Yeah.
Could be a great
fit.
Mean, so
how old is Bill? He's like 175, isn't he? So at some point you have to go and maybe get on the boat with Jimmy Johnson and just go fishing.
There you go. 6 Super Bowls. 6 Super Bowls old. 6 Super Bowls.
Okay. There you go. Let me ask you a question then. You said, you're kind of trying to figure it out. In that figuring it out process, Mac Jones, is he the guy?
Dude, I think this season is we're seeing whether he is or he isn't, and we're only halfway through, right? This is like his rookie year again, in my opinion. He's had a lot of bad situations last year that he was put in. Year one, man, he shows the best promise you could have being behind Tom Brady. It doesn't matter who it is. You have to come in after that. Man, it's going to be hard. Even if you had the Cam Newton and the little errors here and there, Stidham was good hype. Mac Jones was drafted to be the guy for a while.
Billy Zappi? How about that?
He's fun. He's got a badass name.
Fun story. Yeah.
But Mac's the guy for the rest of this year. I think they're sticking with it, and he's going to have to prove that he can do a little bit more than just, blend in and lead an offense. Like, what can you do with nothing? You know what I mean? There's not much. We got the lowest probably separation between receivers and DBs. All these fun new stats come out, and it tells you the story of the game. So, Mac just needs to stop turning the ball over, and I think everything would be all right.
So I guess what I hear you saying is at the end of the year, you'll make a decision because you'll have draft picks. Do you build around Mac Jones, or do you get a quarterback in a very heavy quarterback draft class and build around that guy? So that's going to be the decision that you have to make at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that we don't even I think we avoid it. Like most NFL teams try to do, not make one big decision on draft night. I think we avoid it, and we probably continue what has always been successful for us, and we draft defense. We continue to build on what we have over there. And then who knows? We can make moves at the quarterback position like we have before, but we need a receiver.
I mean, you might be able to trade away Mac Jones and bring in one Kirk Cousins, who is sure to be a free agent at the end of the year. So there's a thought. I mean, there's guys out there, if you don't want to draft a rookie, go get a Kirk Cousins and give yourself an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Right? Just a thought. I don't know. I like Kirk. Anyway, tell me about yesterday. What happened to your Patriots yesterday? Because it looked promising and then it didn't.
I mean, dude, I was in and out of a lot of games. Obviously, I paid a little bit more attention to the Patriot game. But turnovers, man, turnovers. We can't turn the ball over. We limit what we do as an offense and a defense based on not turning the ball over. Kind of an old school way of thinking, but you just can't do it. And then to top it off, you're giving Sam Howell, way too much time. I get we don't have pass rushers, and there's moments. It was a game of moments, and we were on the backside of it. I'll leave it at that one. We ran the ball well. I finally thought we got to see more of both Ramondre and a little bit of Zeke. I have no issues with putting them both out there at the same time in the gun with the tight end.
Why not?
2 receivers. We don't have. It's not like we have 4 receivers deep and have to make sure that the Bengals, that Burrow and Higgins and all of these Chase are all out there. You don't have to do all that. You have 2 tight ends. Man, we should be playing some old school football, and we did at times. But again, this is it's a rough time for me. This is the first in a long time that we have not been. Even the first year of Mac Jones, we were still consistent. A down year where you're playing and pushing for a wild card spot. Like it's getting real fast. So.
Yeah, I mean, Mac Jones isn't. I guess he isn't terrible. He hasn't shown that he's elite yet or that he's great yet. But I like Mac Jones. I think he's a good quarterback. You're in a tough division now, considering that the Dolphins have arisen. The Bills have been there for a few years, and the Jets are doing pretty good, even without A-Rod. And when they get him back, hopefully he plays. I doubt he plays this year, but hopefully he comes back and plays next year. That is a tough division. So you definitely have to figure it out. And I don't want to poke the bear too much. I know you're going through it right now. So I'm going through it too, my man. I did a post last night. I couldn't even talk. I mean, I had so much to say, but it wouldn't come out. The Cowboys go into Philly yesterday and come this close. They come this close. What did you see from both quarterbacks in that game, and why did the Cowboys lose that final game or lose the game in that final minute?
Man, I know you got a lot that you want to speak on here, so I'll make mine as quick as possible.
My heart.
So, this close, and I will say it's this close because they had the ball. You know what I mean? It's tough though because you want your defense. If you're Dallas, in my opinion, you want your defense on the field. You know what I mean? And if you're the Eagles, you want your offense out there. So, for them to have different spots, you saw division at its, in my opinion, the division game that we're not going to get to see again probably for the rest of the year. You know what I mean? There won't be another game in y'all's division that matches up like that. Unless, of course.
Oh, we play them again in Dallas.
Okay, they do play again.
Yeah, we play again. December 10th. I'm in the building.
Okay,
we'll be there.
There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all got the Giants, though, as well. All division games are like that with you guys is what I'm getting at. There won't be one until Philly probably, though, like that.
Yeah.
So y'all got time to adjust, but the quarterbacks is really what made the game yesterday, in my opinion. So Jalen did what he's supposed to do. He always does enough just to win the game, and that's the story of Jalen Hurts right now, in my opinion. I'm not down talking his play, but he's done nothing really spectacular to me. I know he does great things stat wise, but I think Kurt Warner said it a while back, and I'd never heard it before. But you shouldn't let stats write the narrative. You know what I mean? It should support it, and I'd never really heard that before. And in this case, that's where I'm at. What's that?
I agree with that,
Oh yeah,
100%.
yeah, for sure.
I like
He showed his toughness. Jalen Hurts did what he's supposed to do. I thought he might have gone out. These hits on the QBs have looked a little bit. I mean, it's a physical game. You know what I mean? You're trying to protect them, but they're still running the ball. They're athletes. He didn't back down. It's the top defense out there in the league. You know,
Yeah,
and man, he's gonna push his way all the way to the playoffs.
he really is. He really is. I think that they're the only team in the league that can do it perfect every single time, and they're not getting 1 yard. They're getting 3-4 yards every time they do it. I'm surprised when they were down at the 1 yard line, they just didn't do that all the way at least to like the 20, and then start running an offense. I mean, I appreciate that they didn't. Um, I don't think the Eagles. I think the Eagles are the worst 8-1 team I've ever seen, and I say that because their offense bores me to tears. Like I can get up, I can go make wings, I can go get chips, I can get a drink, come back, and guess what? I can guess that they're probably running right or running left or running a little RPO, or every once in a while, Jalen's going to punt the ball downfield to number 11, which is really annoying because you can't guard that guy. And when you do guard him, they call pass interference, which is absolutely ridiculous to me. I thought the refs had 3 calls in that game that were pivotal. The hitch and go where Brown comes off his hitch, he comes to the go, he realizes the corner's still over top, so he kind of runs into him, and they call pass interference. The ball's not even catchable because Jalen threw it 10 yards out of bounds. I'm not impressed with Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. He's a great leader. He's a great football player, right? He'd been perfect in like the 1930s. He'd have been the best quarterback of all time. He's not going to sit in the pocket and shred you. You're not going to ask him to throw the ball 40, 45 times to sit in the pocket, put the team on your back. He does it a little bit different. Not my style. I don't really like that sort of offense. I think the worst Super Bowl I could see this year might be Ravens versus Eagles, because I feel like that game would end like 10-9 with Lamar winning it on like a 20-yard scramble for a touchdown. So don't want to see that game. Dak played well, and people are going to be surprised because they're going to think I'm going to come out here and throw Dak under the bus. It wasn't his fault yesterday, but I learned something about Dak. And not learned something, but confirmed something. And I think everybody maybe saw this too. He was 29 for 44. 44 is too many passes, number one. That's at least 10 passes too many. I understand that we don't have a run game. That's frustrating. I understand we didn't try to run the ball, except we did call a quarterback draw at the 6-yard line. That's irritating. Here's the problem. 3 touchdowns. He didn't turn the ball over. That's great. He's not elite enough to finish the drive that literally the Eagles are trying to lose that game. Please beat us. We don't want to win. We're going to make every mistake that we can and give you these opportunities. And we blew it, right? Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, these guys finished that game yesterday, and they won the game. Dak couldn't do it. And, the 2 sacks, huge plays. You can't take sacks in those situations. Now, granted, Steele might be the worst right tackle in all of football. That's possible. But that being said, the second sack when they were down closer to the end zone is the one that sticks out to me, where Dak froze in the pocket. And literally, he just froze, and he panicked, and you could see it. And he panicked on that whole final drive, really. I didn't like it. I didn't like him stepping out of bounds. The throw on the 2 points, not his fault. Tight end needs to push that route into the end zone. It's a quick throw, right? It's a step and throw type thing. So the tight end didn't push his route deep enough. I thought Dak played really, really well. I thought he outplayed Jalen Hurts. For all the love that Jalen Hurts gets, Dak outplayed him 100%. But that final drive, man, he doesn't have it. Romo finishes that drive. Everybody get mad, and please get mad and comment and say whatever you want to say, because Romo finishes that drive with a touchdown. I seen him do it with a broken spleen in Washington, 2014. Golly, it's frustrating. It's not Dak's fault. It's frustrating. Mike McCarthy had a part to do with it, but he doesn't have it. And now I have no confidence that we're going to get to that next level with Dak Prescott as our quarterback. But I think we can be a really good regular season team. I think we can always be in the playoffs. I think we can always be in the conversation. He just doesn't have it that those other guys have.
Yeah, the moments show that. I agree with you. The moments of the game, every moment you said are pretty much the only ones that we like. They add up, right? So the game
Yeah.
needs you, and your team needs you. Those are the only moments of the game that coincide to that same spot. And as a quarterback, you kind of want that. That's
Yeah.
what you want. You want it in your
I want
hand.
it to be on you. Yeah.
If anyone's going to mess up, it's going to be me. And that's the thing. I don't think he messed up. I think he just didn't make the play. You know, you don't ask. They don't. I know they don't. He had a perfect game. Dak had a perfect game, in my opinion, for what Dallas Cowboys asked Dak to do.
Oh, he was amazing yesterday. Looked
And
like rookie season Dak.
if he does this all year, chances are the Dallas Cowboys probably will win a Super Bowl. My thing on Dak is he's inconsistent. You're not going to get this every year. You're not going to get this every game. You don't know what you're going to get from Dak. He's inconsistent in the moments that matter the most. And I feel like we've known this the entire time that he's been a starting quarterback for the Cowboys, because he inherited probably one of the, in my opinion, well built, because y'all built that team for Romo.
Built that team, yes. Yeah, I know you are spot on with what you're saying, and people are gonna, be happy that I didn't throw Dak, but they're gonna be upset when I say that that's the difference between Dak Prescott and Tony Romo, and that's what I've always said. Tony is a much better quarterback than Dak, because in those moments you need to be great, and there's only a handful of guys in the league right now that are doing that, and Dak's he's just not one of them. Although I give him an A for yesterday, and I gave Jalen a B. Jalen was 17 for 23, 207, 2 touchdowns, very mediocre type numbers. And like we talked about, he just kind of punts some balls down there, and he's got a super fast receiver, and then he's got a super fast and super big receiver. And I think even Troy mentioned, or not Troy, but Olsen mentioned it yesterday. Well, I think that AJ's down there somewhere. I'll just put the ball out there. So I'm not the only one that sees that.
No, going back to the A.J. Brown and some of the pass interferences and things like that. Again, that's part of the leagues being inconsistent this year and what they're trying to do and change for the game. But the week before, they were draped all over him, and he wasn't getting too many calls either. And I feel like that was in lieu and the penalty of when they played the Dolphins, because they were trying to make up for some of those calls. And like this, to me, when it starts to seem like you're making up calls to kind of even it out or make up for something, that's not how football works. Refs are a part of the game. We get that. You can't fix a mistake by making another. My grades are similar to yours. I gave Jalen a B just straight across. B, in my opinion, is pretty much all he has to do to be put into a close game. When he plays A+, it's when he's actually hitting the drag routes accurately or throwing an in route to a tight end.
That doesn't happen a lot.
Exactly.
Right.
In those games, they usually win by 2 or 3 scores. So he gets a B. Dak was B+ just because of sacks. You mentioned it earlier. He's a B+. Okay. I'm not going to give him an A, because this is what you're expected to do, Dak. You're expected to be a B+ quarterback 90% of the year. That's it, because that defense is going to play A++. I mean, at one point, they were outscoring a lot of other quarterbacks when it comes to fantasy points. So,
that's true.
The top player in fantasy was a defense. Like, I don't know how many weeks it happened, but it was. So he doesn't get an A yet. If he scores at the end, which is only a little bit on his effort, like I said, the tight end, that's clearly a design play. There's pressure fast. You just dump it off. But the stepping out of bounds, I'm taking contact. I play it. You play it. I don't think either one of us steps out of bounds, because we wouldn't have been that close. We'd have been a lot closer to the end zone line than we would the sideline.
Right. And you're a big dude. Just go run somebody over. I did like the flip. I love the flip.
Effort.
I love that effort.
I loved it. You're going to get in. I kept telling me, okay, you're going to do it. Like, wow, I'm watching this game. You're going to do it. But that little, we were so close. That little close margin is what we've seen, or I, in my opinion, have seen in Dak from the beginning. It's
you're just right. That was his moment. That was his moment last night to shut everybody up, including myself. I would have had nothing to say, because that was it. That was the Dak signature moment that maybe takes the Cowboys to another level. But we had the same thing that we always get at the end. So this is not a Cowboys show, so we're going to move on. We're going to move on, because I don't even want to talk about Dallas anymore, because we continue to screw up in the biggest moments. Let's go to one of my favorite segments, Who Was on Fire This Week. We always want to talk about the quarterbacks that were in fuego. So for you watching the games a little bit differently than you usually do and kind of scanning the league, who was on fire for you yesterday, Lauren?
Man, I haven't had a chance to see him play, and got to be rookie of the year, man. C.J. Stroud.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I'm not even gonna go into depth over it because I would love to talk about all the possibilities and ceilings and what we've seen. But let me 30 for 42, 5 touchdowns, 470 yards, 71% completion. Right, 70% you're completing. I like completion percentage, as you know,
That's
Patriots
crazy.
fan. I love the completion percentage. It wins football games with the 147.8 passer rating. Like, dude, you're balling. In Houston, what's the excuse? Any other quarterback, what's the excuse, right?
Right. He's been great. And put it in this context as well. And we don't have this segment in here today. We should have, but Brady moment, right? We usually like to talk about Brady moments that happen in games. The Buccaneers had just thrown the winning touchdown. Baker Mayfield had just won the game, by the way. Baker Mayfield was also incredible yesterday. 21 for 30, 265, 2 TDs, no interceptions. And so they had just thrown the winning touchdown pass. There's 40 seconds left. And CJ Stroud goes right down the field and wins the game. Incredible for a rookie. I mean, for anybody.
It was how he looked. It's how he looked doing it. It's how he looked.
He looked calm. He looked like he was in the moment. We have not seen this kid get rattled yet in not one single game, which is amazing. It's easy to say at this point. And I love what Justin Fields is doing. CJ Stroud is the best quarterback to ever come out of Ohio State into the NFL because he's the only one that's ever looked like this.
Only 9 games in. Only 9 games in. Couldn't agree more. And I am not,
only 9 games in. I don't care what else he does. I mean, what he did yesterday was incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. I'm going to go. I had CJ Stroud, but you kind of touched on it already. So we kind of drooled over what CJ did. I'm going to talk about Joe Burrow because Joe Burrow was hurt, but these last couple of weeks, he came into his own last week versus San Francisco. You could see he was getting healthy. He could run a little bit. 31 of 44, 348, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no calf issue. My man was throwing on the run. He was getting out of sacks. He was doing everything last night. He's simply incredible. His accuracy, his ball placement, second to none. Second to none. There's nobody that's out there. We talked about it a little bit earlier this morning. He's the only guy that reminds us of Tom Brady. The way he moves in the pocket, he can run if he has to for a couple of years. He's not as bad running as Tom was. But just
his mobility, like you said,
his mobility is better than you think it is.
Yes, he doesn't have to move far, and he gets, so.
And they talked about it last night. He gets the ball out faster than any quarterback in the NFL, and what that means is he is getting that pre-snap read, and you could hear it last night. He was changing protections, which I love. He was moving his tight end up, or his running back up to protect. It was almost like they were playing arena ball because they were moving him right between the guard and the center. I was like, well, that looks familiar.
Dude, the calls, I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed. You notice because they weren't to receivers. Most of his calls last night was protection checks and linebacker.
Yeah.
It was
Come
awesome.
on, man. Student of the game. I know what he's doing out there.
It was awesome. Nothing was being changed, but that you saw the DB moving as if it was. He had everything like under control. So
it was. He's so cerebral the way he plays and the way he just moves people around, and he just knows what's going on. He gets that ball out. Now that he's healthy and he can drive off that foot, he's got his mobility back. To me, he's the best quarterback right now playing in the AFC because he's shown it in big games. Like, I love what Tua's doing, but Tua has shit the bed in 3 games against 3 playoff teams, while Joe went to San Fran, beat San Fran. And then he comes home. He's got a home game against the Bills, which are fighting for their lives right now to stay in front of the AFC East. And he beats the Bills, right? And Josh Allen's no slouch, right? He didn't play great last night, but
this is a different conversation if Josh Allen wins that game last night.
Totally different conversation.
Absolutely.
Joe's on fire, man. And the Bengals go as he go. The Bengals, I'm looking out for them in the AFC North. It's them and the Ravens to me right now are going to come down to it neck and neck. The Ravens defense, I can't wait to see this game when the Bengals and the Ravens play. That's going to be one of the best games of the year.
For sure.
So, pardon me. Let's move on This is another fun one. We're going to get out the garbage juice bucket this week and see who gets to go into the garbage juice, who's going to fit, who's going to get all musky and smelly, and who was just terrible yesterday. Who do you have?
Oh, man. So I looked up more, and he has an opportunity right now. He has an opportunity to secure a roster spot for himself, to cause a trade. We talked, and I was impressed, but I can't be with the way he played. And it's the QB. You're going to help me with his name here because you pronounce it. It's the NFL. So out in Chicago,
Tyson Bandit.
Tyson. Yes.
Okay.
He has an opportunity, and he's so inconsistent. But you can't.
Tyson Bandit is his name. Yes.
You cannot turn the ball over 4 times as a quarterback, right? The fumble as well. He's loose. He's having fun, but you need to just show that you can be composed in the NFL. And at this rate, you're going to end up at the bottom of a garbage can. You're going to
he had an opportunity. I'm with you. All the talk was maybe Chicago found their quarterback now. Let's get rid of Justin Fields. And, man, I don't know. He's fun to watch. He's a fun story. He's not. You're right. He's reckless. He's not composed. He's just out there playing backyard football. And
the intangibles you have to, you got to control what you can at least control.
Right.
Fun.
Yep.
You're at the NFL, but it's not hard for this select few to get there. It's going to be hard for them to stay. Everyone knows that. So
okay. Wow, that's 2 Bear quarterbacks this year that have been in the garbage juice bucket. I'm going to take us to a quarterback that is yet to make an appearance in the garbage juice. He has been on fire more than once, and he's having a really good year. But much like Jared Goff did a few weeks ago, Geno Smith went into Baltimore and completely shot the bed. He was 13 for 28, 157, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Lauren, I believe that if you played on an NFL team, you might have better numbers than that in a game. This was a big test for the Seahawks, right? This is a chance. You've got the Niners have lost 3 in a row. The Rams got blown out last week, lost again yesterday to Green Bay. This is a chance for the Seahawks to ascend, and they simply just did nothing. I mean, it was awful. Geno Smith looked terrible yesterday, and maybe Baltimore's defense is that good, but what happened to Geno?
You said it right there, man. Baltimore's defense is that good. Like I'm not gonna beat it up too much. He was my honorable mention. But that's why I did not pick him for this. That Ravens defense, as we know, every year you're gonna coming out of there
somehow, somewhere.
Not what you want to see week in, week out. When you can control the ball the way Lamar and them can on offense, they contribute to that defense and what they can do. And I mean, Geno's, I'm happy for him, but this is one of those games where you realize this is probably why the first contract didn't work out or the other contracts didn't work out. This is one of those times where your true older colors may have shown, and he still has work to do, though. He has a home now in Seattle. Like, he can grow from it. But I just think he didn't have this chance before, So now you got the chance. You got hit in the mouth. And
he sure did.
So
now the whole team did. This is the second time we've seen Baltimore make a top quarterback from the NFC this year look like garbage. And actually, Baltimore has literally put 2 quarterbacks in the garbage juice bucket themselves because Jared Goff was here after he played Baltimore. So I think you're right. I think this is a tribute to the Baltimore defense and what they are doing. It's going to be scary if Baltimore gets to the Super Bowl because I don't see how any NFC team can beat them.
I mean, look how they won their previous 2, right? How they win their previous 2 off defense
and ran the ball. Yeah, 100%. And now you have the extra added element of Lamar Jackson and what he can do, which we know he's very special. Yeah. So very, very good. Now, each and every week we watch these games and we don't expect a lot from a lot of guys, but every once in a while somebody surprises us. So as you're tooling around the league yesterday, and we might be talking about the same person here, who surprised you yesterday?
We have to be. Mr. Joshua Dobbs.
100%. It's Josh.
The whole situation for him is just, you're not starting, nothing, and then you come out with, I want to focus more on the ground. He had a touchdown and probably could have been their leading rusher. I think it was 7 carries, 60-plus yards, right, on the ground. Not to mention the air. You know what I mean? He's still playing quarterback for a team that lost Dalvin Cook. Madison's not really doing what he's supposed to. Like they have a great receiver in Addison, I believe. So,
Yeah.
man, like he went in there and balled out to come. Like, yeah, he's easily should be everyone's surprise factor. He probably top 3 quarterback in fantasy as well.
We put into the context, he was there for 5 days. Right now, we saw Baker Mayfield do a very similar thing last year with the Rams, right? Show up. He was there for like 4 days. Baker had all the first team reps. Josh Dobbs had 0 reps at practice because Hall took all the reps because you need to get this kid ready to play. So Dobbs takes no reps. He knows the basic plan for what's going in that week. He knows the play call schedule for that week, but doesn't really know much else about the offense. So you really can't make any adjustments. This man goes 20 for 30, 158, 2 touchdowns, was their leading rusher, and then, by the way, ends the game with a Brady moment, going 13 plays, 75 yards, a minute 46 with a TD pass to win the game. That was exciting. Now Josh Dobbs has been balling in Arizona. We know that, right? But we didn't, Arizona may be better than what we've been giving them credit for. They've been fighting all year, but Josh Dobbs has never been the guy. And all of a sudden, yesterday, in a very small sample size, out of nowhere, he became the guy in Minnesota. That was pretty exciting, and definitely showed us that anything can happen any given week.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I wrote them off. I wrote them.
Me too. Yeah.
I think I benched all of my fantasy Viking players for sure.
Good Lord.
A quarterback has to get them the ball, and that offense relies so heavily on Kirk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Kirk was a big loss.
Yeah, huge. So for them to make a move like that as quick as they did, and I mean, man, Josh is just showing us that I can play quarterback in the NFL. Period.
Now it's going to get harder, right? Teams are going to be prepared for him. He's going to have to take all the reps. He's going to have to really get to learn that offense, and they're going to be limited at least for the next couple of weeks, you would imagine. But
wouldn't
credit to what he's doing.
Wouldn't you say they found their quarterback at least for the rest of the year?
Oh, for the rest of the year, for sure. And he has an opportunity to play himself into a contract there in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So good for him. Good for him. Maybe they don't have to draft a quarterback, which would be great. So
yeah.
I mean, now that's going to take me to halftime, right? And we're going to shout out the Couch Coach. That takes me to XO, who is a huge Vikings fan. He is the host of the Couch Coach that drops every Friday morning. He's a big Vikings fan. He's very excited about what happened last night. We're going to talk about it on the Couch Coach. And Lauren, why don't you tell everybody about New Era Media here at halftime and let them know what you do and how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, for sure. So New Era Media was started by a friend of mine, and I help him out on it. But New Era Media is just set out to kind of bring to life those moments that you want to capture that you don't really know how much they cost, and you don't know how much it's going to be to have a film person out. We've had inquiries for all types of events, right? Weddings, football, with all aspects of football, games, commentary, indoor, outdoor, flag, youth. We've even done 7-on-7 tournaments. We've experienced with drone footage on the field, different views. We just try to do whatever we can in this area to give back when it comes to something that is, we're passionate about, so it is all usually around sports, but the company does weddings and all types of events. They've traveled to Florida now. They've traveled to across states, Louisiana, Nebraska, even California, just to do events. So it's been awesome. Wow. So here at home, I just kind of help out on the football and sports side of things. So I love it. It also is a private partner of the Collin County Crash. So that's my team there here locally and looking to get into youth football pretty soon as my career comes to a slow end. So, yeah.
Okay.
New Era's on Facebook. They're also on Instagram. It's just New Era Media. Sometimes on Facebook, you can find all types of clips representing the Dallas Prime. You can go on YouTube. We did get a lot of football content done. So definitely big shout out to New Era Media.
Awesome. All right. So now we've got a new segment, and this is going to be called Buy or Sell. Certainly, we've seen this on all the major talk shows throughout, but let's get into this, and we'll go to you, and then I'll give my answer. So, Lauren, first up, Dak Prescott will lead the Cowboys to a Super Bowl, not necessarily this year, but just in general. Buy or sell?
Sell, man. I'll keep it short, man. I just think we've seen the ceiling for Dak Prescott. So I
That
don't
hurts.
think there's
That
nothing.
hurts my feelings. That hurts my feelings. But I'm also going to sell that because, again, I think we've come to the conclusion. We agree. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback, but he doesn't have that it factor to get you where you need to go in the biggest games because he just hasn't done it. So the Bengals are about to make a run. Buy or sell?
Man, how about this? Buy. It's already begun. The run last night was huge. The rest from here is just fuel. It's just fuel for the drive that they're about to make. So I'm buying that.
You're all in. I'm all in after last week, watching them go into San Francisco and treat the San Francisco 49ers like a bunch of bums. That's right, Brandon. I said a bunch of bums. And then going in and beating the Bills last night at home. A really emotional game. Everything that was surrounding that from the Damar Hamlin injury a year ago. You know that you've been hurt. This is the first time he played at home healthy. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm buying that big run. The Dolphins in the playoffs. Now, we know they're going to be in the playoffs, but are you buying or selling them to make a playoff run?
I'm buying. I watched that division closely, and
Okay.
man, the loss of the Chiefs hurt, but I think it did a lot of good as well. Showed how close they could be in a game, how they can be resilient in a game. They were playing in a totally different continent. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm buying. And the Bills lost, so I don't think the Jets and the Pats, unfortunately, are going to make any noise. So win the division, get in smoothly, and their schedules. I mean, I think they got the Cowboys on the schedule, so
They do. Christmas Eve.
there's still a couple tests.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm selling that they're going to make a run in the playoffs because they have not performed well against the three good playoff defenses that they're going to face, or against three good playoff teams, right? They have not performed well. And so when you lose those types of games, I feel like you're showing us who you are. You can beat up on the Broncos and you can beat up on these sorts of teams, but when it comes to the Bills or the Eagles, these sorts of teams, you're going to lose the game. And I don't think they can beat Baltimore. I don't think they can beat Cincy. I don't think they can beat Kansas City. So I'm going to sell the Dolphins making a playoff run. Brock Purdy is the future in San Francisco. Buy or
Oh,
sell?
I'm not. I'm not even. I shouldn't even touch this one. It's bought, like not buying. It's
Oh,
that one's been
it's already
bought.
been bought.
We know this. We know. I don't think that should be a question. We know that his future is there, and I think the future in the 49ers is bright. They found similar to what Dak's supposed to be. They found that in Brock Purdy. So
Okay.
he's a game manager. He's a good one too.
So I struggle with this because they're not paying him any money right now. They could easily move off of him. I understood why they moved off Trey Lance because they were going to have to pay him a lot of money. You have the unknown in Brock Purdy. I think you're right, though. We've seen him be elite in big moments. We've seen him do that. What he did to the Cowboys a couple of weeks ago, he shredded us from the pocket. I'm going to buy that. I think the 49ers have their future quarterback as well. The Bears should trade Justin Fields. Buy or sell?
Would there be a moment to exchange, yes or no? That's all I want to know on the buying and selling, right? So I would go either way. I could buy
Oh,
it.
you're 50-50.
Man, I just, what are you doing, Chicago? I don't know what you're doing. So I would need to figure out, what they're doing. But yeah, I think you absolutely can trade. So I guess I'll go buy. Let someone else use his strengths. Like, I'm not convinced the Bears know what to do with the QB like that. I'd hate to see one go to waste. Get him somewhere where they'll build a team around him, or he can already fit. And figure it out. Like, unless you don't really know what you're doing. You've made so many trades for skill guys, and you let Montgomery go, and then you add Claypool, and I don't know what you add. I think it's Sweat, right? Montez Sweat is there now. You're adding all these defensive players. So are we rebuilding a deep? They don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. Don't waste a good quarterback's career.
Okay. As a guy that's been watching the Bears since I'm a child, I don't want them to trade Justin Fields because I don't want them to start over again. So I'm going to sell this. They've started over too many times already in the last few years. They've used all their draft capital. They continue to just poo-poo the bed here. But I feel like Justin Fields is the future in Chicago. I feel like they need to build around him. I feel like they need to get rid of the coaching staff there and retool that. My dream would be that Jim Harbaugh comes from Michigan, comes out of college football, and is the head coach of the Chicago Bears. That's what I would love to see. he could make Justin Fields into what Justin Fields is supposed to be, in my opinion.
I
So
think he
I'm going
goes
to
to the
sell it.
Raiders. I'm big on the Harbaugh, but I think he goes to the Raiders.
Yeah, well, you know what? The Raiders deserve to have Caleb and what's his name go there. What Lincoln Riley? They deserve that. They don't deserve Jim Harbaugh. So on that, Caleb Williams is a number one pick and deserves NFL ownership.
No,
Buy or sell?
I'm selling. I'm selling.
Okay.
Yes, I believe he is the number one pick. I don't believe he deserves ownership. You're not super spectacular, and you're showing what's between the ears right now. He's past the college football stage, though. I'll give him that. He looks like a man among boys when it comes to mechanics and the way he plays football.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he bit off a little more than he can chew by creating the narrative of ownership. Like, way to go for gold and shoot for the stars, but you're gonna fall somewhere back on land with us.
All right. I'm selling the entire Caleb Williams experience. I agree with you that he's an incredible college quarterback. He's got incredible traits, incredible arm talent, but he does so much stuff off schedule. He doesn't really play in rhythm. He's reckless with the football. He reminds me of Josh Allen, but not quite as talented as Josh Allen. So Josh can afford to be a little bit more loosey-goosey here and there. I don't think Caleb can, and let's talk about the emotional moment after the game. We hear a lot of bravado from Caleb Williams. I'm starting to think that that's false bravado. I'm starting to think he's a little weak mentally, a little bit. When I say that, I don't mean he's mental. I just mean as a quarterback, you need to have a strong mental aptitude. Not sure that he has it. He tends to have that, very sad look on his face on the sidelines when things aren't going well. And then to go up into the stands and, put the folder over your face and have an entire meltdown up there. I don't know. Maybe save that for the locker room. What do you think?
Man, it's hard. It's hard. You don't want to speculate on players' emotions, right? We played the game. We know how emotions can be. But yes, we've seen it over and over now. There's always some type of mannerisms, I think they were called. I had the same ones when I was younger, and I think that's what it's showing. I think it's just showing that he is still young. It's showing that one more year in college might be better for you. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes to playing football, that's what makes it so hard. He's well past it. You know what I mean? Certain people just it's harder actually to be in college probably than it is for him to be in the NFL. So he'll have to learn that side of that side of football. So
100%. So maybe it is immaturity. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I see him, I don't know. I'm not a big Caleb fan. I get it. I mean, I like watching him play. He's exciting. Don't get me wrong. But the NFL ownership thing, and he said that, and a couple of days later goes out and gets absolutely owned by Notre Dame. And so that was the problem I had with it. You just maybe concentrate on what you're doing now. I give him credit for not going into the transfer portal and staying with USC, even though they aren't bowl eligible. They can't win they can't be in the playoffs. So I'll give him credit for that. But I think he needs to just slow down a little bit and just play football. And he's losing these big games, and I think they're going to lose to Oregon too. So
I agree with you on
not
the
a great year for him.
You're good at it. You're good at football. Just play it. Just
Yeah.
play. For now, just play it. The rest is going to come.
It will. It will. Certainly it will. So there's some good games coming up this weekend. I say that there's not really a lot of good games coming up this weekend. It seems like this is one of those weekends where you're like, maybe I could go golf on Sunday afternoon. It seems like it's a pretty sleepy day. But there's a couple of games. What games are giving you interest as far as quarterback matchups this week? Let the people know.
Yeah, one that jumps off the table, Texans and Bengals. Try to tune
Yes.
in. Joe Burrow's on fire.
Yeah.
See if the crowd shocked me. I know most people have already been hounding, but yeah, you can't tell me as two quarterbacks, they're not thinking the same thing. Oh, yeah, I'm going to help Joe. Oh, yeah, I'm going to show this kid real quick. Welcome to the NFL. So
right.
I'm excited for that matchup for sure.
Okay. Another sneaky game to me, the Lions going to play the Chargers in L.A., Goff versus Herbert. And I say this is a big game for the Lions because they have to prove that they can win on the road against a good team. I mean, the Chargers aren't going to be a playoff team, I don't think, this year. Unfortunately, I think they have a great quarterback, but they've got some holes there. But I don't know. The Lions have to have something to prove, right? They can seize that division, but they need to go on the road and do that. They need to play well away from Detroit. So to me, that's another sneaky good game. But the best game is that Texans-Bengals game, and I can't believe I'm saying that. But
yeah. had an honorable mention on there too, man. The 49ers in Jacksonville. I'm a T-Law fan, so I like Trevor Lawrence, and I think that he has another opportunity this week for a team that is trying to shut down and actually show, hold on, put the brakes on, stop the bleeding or whatever's going on over there. So I think
Where's that game?
It's in Jacksonville.
Ooh, that's a big game for Jacksonville. Even bigger game for San Francisco because they need to find a way to win a game coming off 3 losses in a row. Coming off the bye, teams have been very good this year, so we'll have to see.
I think that one's like intriguing. That would be the best word. That one intrigues me. It caught my eye for sure.
I love that. And I don't like to watch a lot of Jaguar games, but I would like to watch Jaguars take down the 49ers. That's right, Brandon. I said take down the 49ers. Okay, so we're going to get into a little bit of a hot topic this week. I'm glad that you're here for this. Cam Newton came out last week and said, I am a Hall of Famer. I was one of me when I was in the league, and now I look around and there's many of me. I'm just going to say, thank goodness there's not many of him because one of him wears me out. Is Cam Newton a surefire Hall of Fame? Yes or no, and why? And you can kind of be like this if you want to be. It kind of seems like you are, but you know.
I'm going for it. He is. I think he is. I think Cam Newton is a Hall of Famer. I don't know about the fire part, but I will say he is a sure Hall of Famer. And in my opinion, if you take what he's done for the sport, not stats and accolades, because I have a feeling he did okay. He did his part. But he's right. This is the I don't know if you follow rap music, man, but he's trying to reference the Lil Wayne, you know. When you look around the rap game right now, there's a lot of Lil Waynes. But at the time it was only one Lil Wayne. Cam Newton did that for football, in my opinion. You had multiple previous versions, but to have an athletic specimen like him and an organization back him the way they did and go all in on a quarterback of his stature and his you can't run the read option in the NFL. Well, they added it to Madden when Cam Newton was on the Carolina Panthers, right? So it wasn't in there previously. You had to search through all types of playbooks to hope to find that you could find one, right? So in my opinion, there is a lot of people playing like Cam. They're putting up stats like Cam. All of Cam's records will probably be broken by these guys, you know, because the game of football has changed. I think Cam was a part of that. And yeah, I think he should go down as a Hall of Famer for sure.
Okay. I'm going to say this. Cam is right about one thing. We've never seen a guy his size, right, outside of Jamarcus Russell, and his mobility be able to play the quarterback position. But as a passer, he was average at best. That's, you know, when I say that, his mechanics were ugly. His perfect offense would have been in the offense that Jalen Hurts is currently running. He was a big dude. He had terrible mechanics. He admitted when he got to New England that he had never been asked to read a defense or go through progressions. So I have a problem with that. I don't care about his rushing touchdowns because, again, he was bigger than any linebacker that was in the league at that time. There wasn't a linebacker out there wanting to tackle Cam Newton, right? It just wasn't. But let's look at the numbers, okay? Now, quarterbacks are judged by a certain stat criteria, touchdowns, interceptions, QBR. Okay, those are what quarterbacks are judged off of. Now, granted, you're right. The game has evolved and we do see more of the read option and things like that. Do I think that was because of Cam? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that's because so many colleges are running that. And now those are the quarterbacks that are coming out of college. You had to figure out a way to make it work. Now, mark my words, defenses are going to figure out a way to stop this sooner or later because the NFL is kind of like a circle. It just keeps going around. You look back a couple of years ago, it was all pass. Now the teams that have run the ball well, Lamar and the Ravens, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, the 49ers, these teams that run the ball and play defense are now winning games and being talked about Super Bowl. So it's changing, right? And it'll change again. It'll go back to being more wide open at some point because that's just what it does. He's not a running back, so I don't care about his rushing numbers, though. I don't. So here's some things that are going to shock you. If Cam Newton goes to the Hall of Fame, so should Tony Romo. Cam Newton had 32,382 yards as a passer, 194 touchdowns, and 123 interceptions. His career QBR, well, let me go back. Yeah, his QBR in 2013 was 64. His QBR the last 2 years in New England, 39 and 30. Okay. Tony Romo, 34,183 yards, 248 touchdowns, 117 interceptions. His QBR never dropped under 60, and his best QBR was 76.9. So if Cam Newton goes to the Hall of Fame, I need that same energy for Tony Romo. I'm going to give you another one. Kirk Cousins, 39,471 yards, 270 touchdowns, 110 interceptions. QBR this season was 62.8 before he got hurt. He's typically in the high 60s and low 70s. I'm going to give you one more that's going to shock you. This is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Matthew Stafford. 54,152 yards, 341 touchdowns, saucy, 176 interceptions, and like I said, he's a Super Bowl winner. These are three guys that if I just put out on the internet today, not one person would agree with me unless they were a fan of this quarterback that they should be Hall of Famers. So I'm fine if you want to put Cam in the Hall of Fame because he was 6'4", 250 and ran like a freight train. But you better put Tony Romo in there. You better talk about Kirk Cousins, and I better see a Matthew Stafford sighting in the Hall of Fame. Are you with me?
So let me go real quick. One, Tony Romo. I'm a fan of Tony Romo, so I think that he should get in there as well. I don't think stats tell Tony Romo's full story, but they do tell a good one, much less, right?
He had it.
Two, Kirk Cousins. He's still playing. I try not to ever chime in on people that are still playing.
Okay.
Let his end, right? Let his career go in. So we'll pause on Kirk for now. I'll jump back to it. And then the third,
Stafford's still playing too.
yes, but he will go in because of his Super Bowl. I think that when he retires, which he is close to the end of his career, in my opinion, Stafford, it's smart in my opinion to step away. He's done plenty and shown that he is that guy. And when he went to a team, he was that guy. So I think he'll go in. So I would say, of the one I want to go in, one should go in my opinion, in Stafford. And then Kirk's not done yet, but you got to be careful because the past few years and the next few years of quarterbacks retiring, you're getting a lot of guys that didn't win a Super Bowl that put up a lot of good stats that were franchise quarterbacks. So I'm curious what the influx is on the quarterbacks that get in.
As a quarterback yourself, and I've always thought this, is it fair to judge a quarterback based on Super Bowl wins? Now, we use it to our advantage when we talk about Tom Brady and Joe Montana, but Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl, and no one's going to argue that he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, right? Dan Fouts never won a Super Bowl. No one's going to argue that he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. So to me, the Super Bowl, the wins and losses, those are team accomplishments. You need a lot to go right. Now, what you can do is you can go deep into it, right? And you can say, why didn't they win the Super Bowl? Was it because of them that they weren't winning playoff games? I look at Romo for an example, and everybody knows I'm a Romo fan, but you look at some of those playoff games, they weren't his fault. He wasn't out there losing the game for the Cowboys. Kirk Cousins hasn't lost playoff games for his team. Matthew Stafford won a Super Bowl. So Cam Newton got himself an MVP, which, by the way, that's a whole nother show, but I feel like that's a media award. I mean, we only give it to quarterbacks. We don't give it to me right now, Debo is the MVP. You know why? Because the 49ers haven't won a game without him. So he's the literal definition of MVP. Like, you need this guy to win a football game. So that to me, I think it's a media conversation. And he got to the Super Bowl, but he played terrible. He played like he didn't belong. He didn't go after the fumble. A lot was wrong with that. And I feel like his 20-minute touchdown dances, at least for me, aren't helping. Like, I love flamboyant. I love prime. I love the dancing. I love celebrations. But don't hand the ball off. Watch your running back score in that corner of the end zone. Then run to the other corner of the end zone and dance. We've kicked the extra point. We've kicked off, and we're still in there dancing and Supermaning and doing all the things. So I'm kind of out on all that, but whew, I'm glad I got that off my chest. Thank you, Lauren. That was tough.
That's tough.
That was therapeutic.
Because now everyone's dancing.
That's true. I don't mind the dance. Look, Cam's going to the Hall of Fame. I agree with that. Do I think that he should boast and say that he's for sure getting in and he's this? No, just shut up. Like, I don't want to see him go in, but
would not be Cam if he didn't.
That's true. That's true. And I hope his bust has all the little, I hope it has a hat with all the little dreads coming out through it because you got to do it right. You can't give him the ball-headed college Cam. You got to have Cam the way he is today,
Awesome.
right? I love that.
Up to every football game.
That's right. That's right. In your pajamas most of the time. Okay.
Yeah.
Brandon is not here with us today, but he did give me his fantasy picks. So we're going to get into fantasy picks real quick. Appreciate you guys sticking with us this long. It's been a long show, but hey, we've had a lot of great content. And when we have a special guest, we want to try to get it all out. So what he told me to do was this week, start him. Burrow versus the Texans. He also said to start CJ versus the Bengals. So I guess you could have either one. He said to definitely start Lamar versus the Browns, Dak versus the Giants. We know Dak owns the Giants, so that's a good one. And Allen versus the Broncos. I don't know. I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith in Josh Allen, but hey, you guys go ahead. He's a great fantasy quarterback. He said sit these guys. Will Levis versus the Buccaneers. I think that's probably good. I think Will's going through some growing pains, although I like what I saw out of him this weekend. Sit Watson versus the Ravens. Definitely doing that. We see the Ravens defense is too good, right? Just go ahead. Matter of fact, anytime your quarterback is playing against the Ravens, just sit that guy, no matter who it is. Sit him. And then definitely sit Jordan Love versus the Steelers. Just cut Jordan Love. He's complete trash, garbage juice every single week. Just go ahead and cut Jordan Love is my advice and get you another quarterback. That's what I would do. Any other advice, Lauren, anybody you didn't hear that you'd like to add in there? Are you a fantasy guy?
No. I think it's right up the alley. But I am big on the Joe Burrow versus the Texans. I know you like Baker, but he just the Texans defense just gave up 265 and 2 touchdowns to Baker Mayfield. On 70% completed. Joe Burrow. What do you think Joe Burrow
should tear that apart then? Yeah. I'm with you.
I'm high on Joe Burrow, and I'm definitely sitting any QB that plays in Baltimore.
Okay. And the Bengals defense, though, I think a couple weeks ago I might have said this game could be a shootout, and it still could be the way CJ's playing. But the Bengals defense showed up last night, and you're going against Josh Allen last night, which is not easy to do. I thought they did a great job. So we could see the AFC Super Bowl team come out of the AFC North this year. How about that?
Possibly. Every year. Possibly.
Kansas City looks pretty human to me right now.
Yeah. Wounded.
Right?
Wounded.
Yeah. They should have went out and gotten themselves a speedster. They should have went out and got a big receiver that could stretch the field. They should have made the trade for Mike Evans. Anyway, that's what they should have done. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the QB Huddle podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Even if you don't agree, we want to hear from you. Keep your eye out later this week for the Couch Coach podcast. Should be dropping Thursday or Friday. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to our incredible producer, as always, Mark Watson. And Lauren, thanks for standing in for Brandon Newey today. I'm Tim Smith, and we'll see you next week on the QB Huddle podcast.